Led Creative Economy Council of the Philippines estimates that the creative industry was worth a whopping 1.27 trillion pesos in 2019. Pangasinan Congressman Christopher de Venecia and Citem Executive Director Pauline Suaco-Juan join us now to share how can the government help local creatives maximize their potential. Well, Kong Toffee and Pauline, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.
Hello,
thanks for having us, Rico.
Wow! 1.27 trillion pesos for the creative industry. Please define for us which sectors and subsectors belong to this creative industry, Kong Toffee.
Well, you know what? In the bill that's set to become a law in a few days.
If it's not vetoed.
If it's not vetoed, I don't think so. I don't think so. It actually defines over 50 industries that are included within the framework, and we had to aggregate those 50 industries into 9 developmental domains. And your industry is actually included in that, the audio and audiovisual media domain. And you know, there's also design, of which Pauline is very famous in that space, being one of the leaders in the fashion industry. There's also books, publishing, and printed media, which aggregates, books, comics, graphic novels, magazines, newspapers.
Wow, that covers a whole breadth of creative sectors.
Yeah.
But what will this act do, which will lapse into law on July 27th, and how will it contribute more to opportunities for the creative design sector?
Yeah, so first it defines what the creative industries are, because people are so confused as to what it really is. It's actually an intersection of arts and culture, media, science and technology, business. So after defining what the sector is, then it creates a government agency that's dedicated towards, really just growing the sector. And it's going to be called the Philippine Creative Industries Development Council, which will be charged with coming up with a plan. A plan with KPIs that has to be hit in a short, medium, and long-term basis. KPIs include how much revenue should be generated in each industry, how many jobs are generated, export targets, intellectual property targets, and how to grow the market both domestically and abroad.
Well, that's wonderful. There are benchmarks that have to be hit. And a lot of our creative designers will also be protected by this act.
Yes.
And how will this help the fashion industry, Pauline?
Well, in the first place, the fashion industry right now is quite fragmented. So the act, part of the goal is to really bring them together so that they work together as an industry rather than just little companies. And then there are subsidies, for example, if there are innovative ideas that come into play. There's education support as well. So, and that doesn't just happen for the fashion industry, as Kong Toff was saying. It's throughout the breadth of the domains that he mentioned.
But focusing on the fashion industry, why is it fragmented? And what could be the template for it to be united as one, and we could really promote Filipino fashion designers worldwide, where we already have a lot of global fashion designers, but what could even just enhance it?
Well, the fashion industry is in flux in terms of a legitimate business model. Because at the moment, we are like a service business model in terms of, for example, our designers. So what is interesting is if you have somebody pushing for systems, pushing for KPIs, it forces the entrepreneur, it forces the industry to work together and push for export, push for development, push one another so that we reach that place wherein we're able to export well, we're able to promote our designers well, and we're able to hit targets in terms of intellectual property. So build brands, build collections, and then go on and build goods, creative services, and goods in terms of design.
But Kong Toffee, I mean, this is really a milestone, right?
Yeah.
When it becomes law, how much can it contribute more to the overall economy? Currently,
Okay.
we are basically in pins and needles, agriculture, right? Rising prices, falling
Right.
peso.
Yeah.
How much more can the creative industry contribute?
You know what, Rico? I always look to the example of South Korea and
Okay.
how they seem to have figured out their content industries as they inception it. We call it creative industries. Back in 1997, at the wake of the Asian financial crisis, then South Korean President Kim Dae-jung had to figure out a new growth strategy because they had lost their main driver, which was manufacturing, to China. So they decided to invest in their content industries. And of course, now Filipinos are among the biggest consumers of Hallyu culture,
That's right.
K-pop, K-drama, K-everything. And people think it happened overnight. Not at all.
So with this act, we can have a P-pop culture wherein, the world will be on our stage.
Yes. Oh, and you can't really scale to like the level of ubiquity that Korean content has if you don't have government working closely with the private sector. So what South Korea is reaping now are really the creative consequences of an intentional policy shift on the part of government. And once upon a time, tourism, prior to the passage of the Tourism Act of 2009, was just at 5% of our GDP. Now, pre-pandemic, they were already at 12.9%. And 7.34% has been the estimate of WIPO and IPOPHIL of the creative industries back in like the early 2000s. And so can you just imagine how much bigger that is now? And to begin with, when they made that count, gastronomy wasn't included and the freelance industry wasn't included yet.
Yeah.
So now it's probably even bigger. So it's a really, I think now is the way to build back better post-pandemic. Now is the time to really invest in creativity and use resources that are available to us, even at the grassroots level.
So much potential, but we are at the moment fragmented, no? As Pauline said, across many industries. So
Yeah.
we have to unite, and with this law, we could hopefully get to the next level worldwide.
Yeah.
So the Create Philippines Creative Futures 2022 will be taking place, Pauline, next week. What can we expect from this event?
Well, Create Philippines is the flagship event. Creative Futures is the flagship event of Create Philippines, which is the program that we have at DTI Citem to build an enabling environment for these creative industries. So it's an online conference, and we're bringing together public sector, our creative individuals, industry experts, the academe, to in an online conference so that we can learn from one another. Basically, it's a way to build community because, as I was saying, it's fragmented. So it's time to just get to know what the industry needs and how government, for example, or private sector can work together and push or even develop things that are already in place. So during the conference, we have a lot of examples of creatives who already have projects in the field that just need, let's say, investors or other, other
mechanisms like the local government.
Well, that is really the key there, no? I mean, you may have this, you may have that mindset, you may have the law, but you need investments, you need the money for everyone to get together, headed towards one goal.
Right.
Or
Is it there? Is it there? Is the investment there?
Yeah, I mean, it's addressed in the bill that, there are incentives that are going to be in place, there's infrastructure that's going to be in place, research and development support, creative education. What I mean by this is there seems to be a disconnect with the kind of human resources we're churning out in our K-12 system and what the industries actually need. So when there is a creative youth applying to a creative firm or business, they have to spend so much money just to retrain the people to be able to absorb them into their firms. And so there's a disconnect there that needs to be addressed too. And what I'm really excited about actually is the institutionalization of the Philippine Creative Cities Network program. Because this will not succeed if we're not able to reach the grassroots creative in the community.
And briefly, how can people sign up? I want to sign up. I'm part of this industry.
You are.
How can we
join us.
participate? How can we participate, Pauline?
Well, I think we have. Do we have the QR code? You can, if you can see the QR code on your screens.
But if they don't have a QR code, is there a website?
Yes, you can go on our social sites. It's at createphilippines.com on Instagram and on Twitter. But we also have a website, so that's createphilippines.com. In the newspaper, if you're very low tech, we're out this weekend. Get that QR code. It leads you to our online platform, event platform called Hopin, and you can just register. It's free. So we're looking forward to seeing creatives, policymakers, anyone interested.
Mayors,
Everybody, LGUs. So,
Yeah.
Kong Toffee, if Korea has Hallyu, what should we have? What should we dub it?
Oh no, Aliu, not so bad. No, we'll think of something. We'll think of something for Filipino
People
content.
everyone can identify with.
Yeah, a brand. No, we need a
brand.
country brand.
A country
for
brand.
Creativity. We need to figure that out.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.
Thank you.
Congressman Christopher de Venecia and Citem Executive Director Pauline Suaco-Juan. And good luck to your event next week.